Munson with Munson Music. I'm going to talk about how you can play a song called Ohio by Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young. And it starts off with this cool little lick around a D minor chord where you can play open D, and then do open G as kind of a hammer on the second fret. So you want to kind of play the open G and kind of get a finger to kind of slam down the second fret to kind of get that sound to carry. And then we play third on the B, and then open G, and then third on the D, open G, third on the A, and then open D. So you got kind of this D, O, 2, 3, O, 3, O, 3, O, and then we almost kind of repeat that like O, O, 2, 3, O, 3, O, 3 on the A, and kind of just let that hang. So you may want to kind of kick it off with that lick. That might be kind of a cool way to kind of intro the tune. Or you could back it up with chords. I mean, start on a D minor chord, and we play D minor. First finger goes to the high on the first fret, second finger on the G second fret, third finger on the B string third fret, and if you strum the D string to the high E string, that sounds a D minor chord, and it sounds really, really sad. Now, you may also want to think about lifting off the first finger and kind of make that a D sus 2, or you could add in the pinky on the high E third for a D sus and kind of say some things around D minor through the song. And then from the D minor, we'd be going to an F major chord. We'll talk about a really easy way to play this. But if you know the bar F major, you do your first finger across the entire first fret, second finger on the G second fret, third finger on the A third fret, and the pinky on the D third fret. And if you strum all those together, it sounds an F major chord, and it sounds really happy. Now a good substitute for that, though, if you're just starting out, is something called F major 7, where you do first finger on the B first fret, second finger on the G second fret, and third finger on the D third fret. And if you strum the D string to the high E string, that sounds an F major 7. It sounds really groovy happy. Now another possibility would be an F major 13, where you do first finger on the G second, second finger on the D third, third finger on the B third, pinky on the high E third. If you wanted to kind of work that for your F minor. So that way your third finger can kind of stay in the same place between that D minor and the F. And then we'd be going to a C major chord. And when we play C major, first finger goes to the B on the first fret, second finger on the D second fret, third finger on the A string third fret. And if you strum the A string to the high E string, that sounds a C major chord, and it sounds really, really happy. Now you could kind of take your pinky and kind of add it on the B string third and kind of get a C major 9 out of that. Or another way to play C major 9, we'll be doing first finger on the D second, second finger on the A third, third finger on the B third, pinky on the high E third. Kind of working that for the C major 9. So you can almost kind of work out all around that kind of a D minor, F, C, and kind of work it almost like a drone idea. And you could even do a D sus. Actually, we'll talk more about D's for the chorus. But you can do first finger on the G second, third finger on the B third, pinky on the high E third. Kind of work that as a D sus 2, or a sus, or a suspended chord. So that way you could kind of leave that 3 and 4 through the whole tune, if you're through that part of the tune, if you wanted to kind of work it that way. There's a couple different strumming options you may want to think about. You could do just downstrokes, kind of a D minor for A, and then kind of a 4 or F for 4, C for 4. D minor 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, F, C. Or if that seems too quick, you can do the D minor 2, 3, 4, F, 2, C, 2, and just kind of work downstrokes. Ba da 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 ba da 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 da. If you kind of dig on that. I'm adding a little bit of right hand muting to the kind of taking the flat of the right hand, laying down on top of the saddle to kind of work it that way. Or another strum pattern, actually one of my favorite strum patterns for a 4/4 like this, is down, down, up, up, down, up. So to the D minor, just tried that a lot. You have down, down, up, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up, down, up. The weird part about using that strum pattern is the F and the C almost kind of happen. So you want to do the D minor with the down, down, up, up, down, F with a down, down, up, C with the down, down, up, D minor, down, up, down, up, C, down, up, D minor, down, up, down, up, down, up, C, anything on that. Or another strum pattern that you may gravitate to is something called a 16th note strum pattern. And what I mean by that is if you're tapping your foot to the beat, right now we're kind of dividing that beat into 2 parts with our down, down, up, up, down, up. 1, 2, 1, 2, and that's called an 8th note. What a 16th note is where you divide that into 4 parts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And one of my favorite 16th note strum patterns is a long down, 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 up, down, down, up, down. And what I mean by that is if you take the D minor and do it down for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's what you'd be doing on the first beat. Then on the second beat, you do it down on 1, down on 3, up on 4. So we're going 1, 2, 3, 4, down, down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up. And then on the third beat, you do it up on 2, down on 3. So you're going 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, up, down, 1, up, down, 1, up, down. And then on the last beat, you go down, up, down, and right along with the 1, 2, 3, 4. Down, up, 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 down. So all together, you got down. That through the intro verse. The weird part is we don't have as much time on the chords. So you may want to do the D minor with a down, 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 up, kind of the first half of the strum pattern, and then do the F with a down, down, up, and then C with the down, down. Never fear, we're going to use that whole strum pattern for the chorus. We got the D minor, down, down, up, F, down, up, C, down, up, D minor, down, down, up, F, down, up, C, D minor, F, C, kind of did on that part, D minor, that verse, then we'll be going into our chorus part. And our chorus goes to a G minor chord. We'll talk about some easy ways to kind of play this. What normally you do is a 3rd fret bar, 3rd finger on the A 5th fret, pinky on the D string 5th fret. And if you strum all those together, that sounds a G minor chord. It sounds really sad. And you may also want to dig on lifting the pinky and making that a G minor 7, which could be kind of a cool option too. Or a really sneaky way to do the G is to do it as a G5, kind of like a power chord actually. And you could even do the low E string on the 3rd fret, 3rd finger on the A string 5th fret for a G5 power chord. Or, this is a really cool cheat, is you could do 2 on the low E string 3rd, 3rd finger on the B 3rd, pinky on the high E 3rd, and kind of get your first finger to kill the sound of the A string. It looks like a G major chord if you're familiar with kind of that 4th finger D, but I'm actually kind of killing the string or killing the A string sound and make it a big G power chord actually. And then from the G, we go into our C, and you can use that C major 9 voicing. And we end up doing that back and forth 4 times. And then from there, then we go to a D major chord. So all of a sudden the D gets happy. And the way you play D major, first finger goes to the G on the 2nd fret, 2nd finger on the high E 2nd fret, 3rd finger on the B string 3rd fret. And if you strum the D string to the high E string, that sounds a D major chord that sounds really, really happy. Now around Ds in general, kind of like the D minor, you lift the 2nd finger, always a dangerous finger to lift, but that makes a D suspended 2nd. Or you could add in the pinky on the high E 3rd for a D suspended chord. And you hear this cool little lick actually around that chord where you can play the open D, 3rd on the high E, 2nd on the high E, 3rd on the B, 3rd on the high E, 2nd on the high E, and then 3rd on the high E, 2nd on the high E, 3rd on the B string twice. And then we go 3rd on the high E, and then 2nd to 3rd on the high E. You may want to try that as a hammer-on, kind of playing the 2nd, putting the pinky down to carry the sound, and then another 3. And then in the recording, you kind of take that lick and then kind of slide it up to 5th fret on the high E string, kind of at the very end of that lick. So it's almost kind of like 3, 2, 3, 3, 2, 3, 3, 2, 3, 3, 3, 3, 2, 3, 3, 5, 5, 5, 5, 5. Kind of playing around with those notes around the D major at the very end of the chorus. So we tried that with a down, down, up, down, up, or even the down idea. You have a G minor, down to its C, G minor, C, G minor, C, or you can do the down, down, up, down. It would kind of be a really slow pace for that. G minor, C, and then we had our D major idea. Down ups and kind of get that lick to happen around it. 2, 3, 3, 2, 3, 2, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3 slide there at the end. When I'm doing the slide from 3 to 5, kind of putting down the first finger on the A second, second finger on the B third, pinky on the high E fifth. Kind of like a little D5 power chord on the top 4 strings. So if you kind of dig on that, you may want to play around with those voices. Or if we were kind of doing our 16th pattern, we would have the G minor, we get to do the whole pattern on each of the chords. C, running us down, G minor, C, G minor, C, G minor, C. We got our D licks at the end. Or you'll hear this cool little continuation, actually kind of going back into our intro verse idea, where you can take that 5th fret on the high E string and slide up to the 10th fret, and then 8th on the high E, 7 on the high E, 8 on the high E, 7 on the high E, slide to 5, and then we go to 3rd fret on the high E string, and then slide that to 5, and then we slide that back to 8, and then back to 10. So you may want to kind of play around with those notes too, actually kind of that 5, 10, 8, 7, 8, 7, 5, 3, 3, 3, 5, 5, 8. It's kind of like little notes of a D minor scale, actually, kind of a D and a C and a B and an A and a G. So you may want to kind of play around with those notes, or you can even jam out with just those notes. Cool to play around with too. And then from there, then we'll be going back into our intro and our verse idea. Now, one other thing I think about adding to the song though is bass notes. And a lot of times on that first down of the down, down, up, up, down, up, you can throw in a bass for the chord. So on the D minor and the D major chord, actually you have the D for the bass. On the F bar, you have the low E for the bass. On the F major 7, you have the D for the bass. And on the C, you'd have the A for the bass. And on the G minor, you'd have the low E for the bass. So we tried our verse with a bass, down, up, down, up. We have the D minor, down, up, down, F with the bass, down, C with an A bass, down, up, D minor, F, C, D minor, F, C. Or if you're kind of digging on the 16th, you could add basses to that, and you could work off a bass, down, down, up, down, down, up, down, or bass, bass, down, down, up, down, down, up, down, or bass, bass, down, down, up, bass, down, up, down. And all the cool variations. So you have the D minor, F, C, D minor, F, C, D minor, F, C, D minor, F, C. And then we'd be repeating that until we get to our next chorus. So we tried that with a bass, down, up, down, up. We have the G minor with bass, down, up, down, C with an A bass, down, down, G minor with Louis bass, down, down, C with an A bass, G minor with Louis bass, C with an A bass, G minor with Louis bass, C with an A bass, and our D. Or you can kind of play around with kind of bringing out those licks kind of around that. Or we could work it off our 16th pattern. We have the G minor, C, G minor, C, G minor, C, G, C. We have kind of those D licks at the end. But you may want to kind of play around with that idea too. And then from there, then we'll be going back into kind of our intro progressions, kind of our outro. Now, one other thing you may want to consider through the song, though, is kind of working this as a drop D idea. And what I mean by that is if you take the low E string and loosen it up, so you kind of imagine a D note, actually. It should sound like Somewhere Over the Rainbow from the low E string to the D note. Now, that could be very, very cool. And so what you end up with is kind of a power chord idea, actually, on open D, A, and D. And that works for your D minor chord and your D major chord to kind of adjust it. Now, some of our chords we have to adjust. The C, since you're doing the A string to the high E string, stay exactly the same. Now what that does for a lot of our chord shapes though is now we have to add 2 frets to whatever we're playing on the low E string. So this is kind of weird. On your F bar, for instance, right now the low E string sounds off if you use your regular shape. But you can almost kind of get your 3rd finger to cover the E, A, and D string, or what was the E string, over on the 3rd fret. So if you want to kind of dig on that for the F, you can kind of get your low voicing that way. And for your G minor, if you kind of slide that bar shape over the 3rd fret, 3rd finger covering the E, A, and D string, on the 5th fret, that would be your G minor chord shape. So you could kind of work it through it that way. And actually that intro lick actually works really well with a low D to kind of kick it off. So you could kind of use that low, what used to be the E string now is a D string, to kind of reinforce all the Ds, or you may want to rake across all those. Make it really big and drony. Tried that through the intro part, especially if you're using the F major 7, actually you can still kind of use those same voicings, but your bass notes now you can bring out on the low D for the D chord. So that might be kind of a cool option to kind of work it as the drop D idea. And then if we tried that idea through our chorus part, you could use that G minor with the 3rd finger kind of adjusting it. C, G minor, C, G, G minor, C. We got our big D lick, so we use the low D. You could kind of work little drone octave shapes. Kind of got the D's now, right? So all those melody notes that we were doing on the high E, right, the 10th fret on the high E, you can almost kind of use your pinky for that, and then take the 1st finger and go to the G on the 7th fret. I'm kind of muting out the B string actually, but that kind of gives you like a little drone shape, kind of an octave D to D. Kind of move through those melody notes. So you'd have like 7 and 10 between the G and the E string, 5 and 8, 4 and 7, 2nd to 5th. This might be kind of cool, especially on those breaks. Kind of take that. Kind of see what you can say with that shape moving around. Up to the 9 and the 12 for the E note. Or if you want to make it major, you'd be going 11, wow, 14 on the D minor. If you kind of hear that in the ear, especially for the verses, you may want to shoot for the 10 and 13. Major, minor. That might be kind of a cool line. Mix it up all kinds of ways. If you know other licks around these chords too, feel free to take this lesson and run with it any way you want to and kind of make it your own too. But that's the basics of how you could strum through Ohio by Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young. So good luck.